Well, good morning and welcome to this week's Market Carver. And happy to the end of August. Can you believe it is September? Ladies and gentlemen, what an interesting year we have going on. So, first of all, our hearts really do go out to the people of Louisiana. Ida slowed down apparently to a tropical storm before it hit, but you still had gusts of 170 miles an hour. As of the time of this recording, I can't tell you for sure what's going to happen to the energy complex. The first reports are it is pretty reasonable, but as one of the oil and gas experts put it, this was the worst possible path for a storm to hit for our, at least Central America, supply of natural resources. So we'll have to keep that in eye, but for the people that lost their lives and are down there, just know we're thinking about you. Obviously, things are going on in this crazy world that we have. Had some questions about Afghanistan last week that came in. It's not a huge economic thing on one hand, and then again, a group of American geologists found more than $1 trillion in their mind of uncovered natural resources back in 2010. How much of that's been mined, whether they were right about it, what's changed in price, don't know the answer. But again, our hearts go out to the people that are there and that are trying to make their way home. We've got a lot to talk about this week. It's been there's been a little bit of humor that has gone on, if you will. The CDC, the Central for Control Disease, actually went out and tried to put a moratorium on evictions. The Supreme Court quickly came back and said, sorry, CDC, you don't quite have that power. But we are going to talk about what's going on inside of the financial part of our governing body, if you will. And keep in mind, when we get to the Federal Reserve and the government are two separate entities. Yes, the president has to appoint who the Federal Reserve chairman is. Senate has to confirm them. But they're two separate. And any time throughout history, when you've had the two come together, you really do have some problems that begin to exist. So last week we had the Jackson Hole meeting. I'm just going to skip this and get right to it. We had the Jackson Hole meeting. It's a place where all of the financial leaders, if you will, of the United States gather. It was virtual. And so everyone expected Powell to kind of come out and say that we were going to decrease or decrease the amount of bonds that we were buying quicker than what we expected as early as September. Now, we do have the deviant, the virus is coming back up. The variant, whatever you want to call it, is coming back up. The numbers are high, even here in Indiana. So he had a little bit of cover there, but he really came out and was very, very clear about 2 points. Taper, yes, potentially. Didn't really come out to say when. Tapering just means we're going to buy less bonds at a time. When we're talking about bonds, they're mostly U.S. government bonds. Rate hikes, not so fast. And the market really got a lot of reprieve from that. We're going to go into record highs and the S&P 500, at least as of right now, having its 7th month in a row of consecutive gains. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But this is what really leads to the confusion that goes on. The economy tends to be telling us one thing, and the stock market's telling us great things. In our opinion, a lot of it comes from this Federal Reserve support. So let's talk a little bit about the economy. Shipping costs are still going higher. And you can see this chart above the number of rigs that are actually coming in. You've probably seen on the news the amount of them that are unable to be unloaded. We got a news report this week. Again, I can't confirm this, but one of the points was, hey, we've been sitting here for about 6 to 8 weeks, and at a period of time, if we don't move, the containers will actually explode due to things that are in them, the heat, and from sitting still. And so imagine having to take a barge and kind of move it around a little bit, just hoping to be able to prevent that from happening. There are shipping costs that are still going higher and higher. We know that there were container trucks or container barges that had less than 1,000 containers on them just a few years ago that are now 2,400 containers and up. And so whether we built the infrastructure to be able to unload them or not at the same time, it's hard to tell. What we do know is the costs are going higher and higher, and we're having more and more problems that are going on. That's economic. You get back to the market, and here we are. And when we talk about asset size, we typically break it down into four areas: large cap, mid cap, small cap, and micro cap. And what you can see on this, the large cap, that's the S&P 500 for the most part, is still working its way higher. Like I said, at a record high. Mid cap, and this is exciting to social what we would call breadth in our office. You can see the mid cap getting back to its previous highs before, getting ready to break through. It's exciting to see those mid-sized companies do that. Small cap companies, not quite where they were, but working their way up, typically a more volatile area. And then you have the most volatile, and you can kind of see that as you go across the screen. The most volatile part up there, obviously, is the micro cap. Those are the smaller ones that are there. But even they have bounced off of what we would call support. That's that blue line at the bottom. You can see them moving forward. So we've got conflicting economic news, conflicting market news, all driven by, in a large part, to the Federal Reserve. There's a lot of disruption and confusion over inflation, unemployment, stopping the $300 extra unemployment benefit that's coming up here shortly. A lot of things that are out there that people are just paying attention to and trying to figure out, discern, read the tea leaves, whatever you want to call it, in terms of where we are and what is going on. Hey, if you want to know more, don't forget you can catch our radio program, Consider This Program. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find it. WIBC Saturday morning, Shine 99, WHBU, WILO. Happy to have you, and if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to let us know. You have an outstanding week. We look forward to seeing you again soon.